Thank you very much. Thank you, Manos, for inviting me today. It was the first time I've been here in your meeting. I'm going to assure you that I'm not going to lose the next one. Really, thank you very much for inviting me. So this is the topic for today, patches over the repair. Is this the future? My disclosures, of course. Well, if you think about the use of patches to augment a rotator cuff repair, this is not something that is in the future. This is the present. If you go through the literature, you will find a lot of different alternatives. You can use xenograft, allograft, or autografts, and there are many different alternatives in the market that will help you increase your chances of healing, and it has been quite well studied. There are different things that we have to take into account when we select a specific patch. There are some things related with mechanical issues. Excuse me, because the mouse is not working. Okay. There are mechanical issues. We need to have patches that have high mechanical resistance, that are able to have excellent suture retention, and we are able to place them firmly into the bone. And ideally, they should degrade very slowly or not degrade at all. From a biological perspective, we also need for them to be biocompatible and ideally to be bioconductive and bioinductive. What do we have right now? Well, if you go through the literature, and Bailey did that in 2019, he did find quite a lot of relatively high quality studies that showed that when you look at return rates between graft augmentation and repair alone, it seems that graft augmentation could provide a lower return rate when compared with rotator cuff repair alone. And one of the best studies that he used for this meta-analysis was Barber's study from 2012. He used a cellular humal dermal matrix for large supraspinatus, infraspinatus tears. And as you can see here, the sample size was not very large, but he did find significant differences. But this is a relatively hot topic right now. And a more recent systematic review from this same year has included many more studies, including the one by Avanzi, that I will talk later on. And there is clear evidence that there are benefits of patch augmentation in rotator cuff repair, in particular in reduction of return rates. This is the study by Avanzi that was presented 3 years ago in this same meeting, and it was again a randomized prospective control trial. You can see that the sample size is way higher, and he had very, very good outcomes with a porcine dermal patch. So they seem to work. So the question we should make ourselves is why we are not using these patches in most of our cases. Well, the truth is that when you think about how do our full thickness rotator cuff repairs fail, there are basically two ways in which one of your repairs will fail when you do a transosseous equivalent repair or a double bundle or a transosseous repair. Sometimes the tendon fails to heal at the footprint. And this is, of course, a biological problem, but it's mainly mechanical. We did not get the tendon to stay there long enough for it to heal. But if you are doing transosseous equivalent repair, most of your failures and the failures you will dread are medial failures, medials at the medial row or at the musculotendinous junction. And these are not mechanical issues. This is purely biological. The tendon is not good, so it won't heal. And the truth is that this is the most common way of failure when you are doing a transosseous equivalent repair. So when you are using a traditional patch, this won't answer your biological problems, because if you look at the characteristics that we need of a patch, traditional dermal tissue or allografts are basically mechanical answers to our problem. They are very thin on biology, and that's the reason we are not using them. So do we have any future alternatives? Well, some time ago, in 2019, the collagen bioinductive implant was presented here in Europe, and it was approved for use here in Europe in 2020, although our American colleagues have had it available for more than 5 years. This is a xenograft. It uses collagen from bovine origin. It's related to tissue engineering because it's not the proper collagen from the cows. They develop it and they take out all the cells. And it seems to work very well. Dr. Arnowski shows us results from biopsies from patients in where he did a full thickness repair and placed this implant over it. And he found that when he looked at them on pathology, even at 5 weeks, there was cells coming into the patch, the implant. And at 3 months, you did have some very good quality tissue. The implant was no longer there, and at 6 months, the quality of the tendon was very good. So, this really looks very well. We have a recent study by Sawa in New Orleans that presented his outcomes in very difficult cases, and he had extremely good results. So, from a biological perspective, it looks too good. Some clinical data says that it is very, very good. To tell you the truth, when you think about that, this new alternative seems not to focus in the classical way we want our patches to work. It is not as strong in mechanical issues, but it seems to be very good on biology. To tell you the truth, when I went through all this data, I was very skeptic, because when something is too good to be true, usually it's not true. So we decided to make a randomized controlled trial. Me and a couple of friends from Spain, we developed this randomized prospective clinical trial looking at mid-sized supraspinatus tears repairs with trasosseous equivalent repair, and we randomized them to either our traditional repair or repairing it and adding a regenerative. We have just finished the study, we have just finished recruitment, and what I'm going to present you is the preliminary results of the first 60 subjects, because we decided to analyze that to make sure the study was not underpowered. These are our inclusion criteria. We selected supraspinatus tears that extended or not to the infraspinatus, full thickness tears, less than 3 centimeter retraction, less than 4 centimeter anteroposterior extension, and we only selected those cases in that we were able to do a full repair with full coverage of the footprint. We excluded patients with fat infiltration, with associated subscapularis or teres minor tears that required repair, and also partial tears or partial repairs. This is basically our technique. In the control group, we perform our traditional trasosseous equivalent repair with a speed bridge and ripstop technique. And at that moment, if we're satisfied with the outcome of our repair, we randomize the patient. And if it was in the control group, we stop altogether the surgery. If it was in the regenerative group, we went on to place our bioinductive implant over the repair. The technique has been presented by Manos previously, so I won't go ahead with it. It's relatively simple to do. And we look at this stage, we have not looked at clinical data because we wanted to be sure that the healing was there or not. So our primary outcome assessment was magnetic resonance imaging at 1 year, and we look at whether the tendon has healed or not, and also at the return pattern. And this is what we saw. We had 60 patients. We lost 3 to follow-up, which is 95% follow-up, which is good enough. And of course, I have to warn you, this is preliminary results. We have another 64 patients to go. Perhaps the outcomes will change, but this is what we have right now. And here you can see that at least at this stage, it seems that using the bioinductive implant has a significant impact in your healing rate. And this is quite interesting. And one of the good things we found out is that how it did affect the place where our tendons were torn. We look at that, and as you can see, failures at the footprint are not very common. We have talked about that. I'm very careful preparing my footprint, doing microfractures, and as you can see, we did not have failures at the footprint, but we did have failures at the musculotendinous junction, medial row failures, and these are very difficult to prevent, and it seems that using the bioinductive implant, you might be able to avoid these issues. So, patches over the repair, is this the future? Well, the present are current dermal matrix patches, either porcine or allograft. And there is good evidence of healing rate increase. There is limited functional improvements, but it looks like a more mechanical solution. As my colleagues before have said, the problem with rotator cuff right now in 2022 is not a mechanical problem. We know how to do it. It's mostly a biological problem. So the new bioinductive implants perhaps are the future. They do have poor mechanical properties, but they seem to excel from a biologic point of view, and they might be able to produce improved results. Thank you very much.